Saddam Hussein, whose full name was Saddam Hussein al-Majid al-Takriti, was one of the most controversial and influential figures of the 20th century. He ruled Iraq with an iron fist for nearly 3 decades and left a lasting mark on the Middle East and the world at large. This comprehensive biography will delve into the life, rise to power, and the complex legacy of Saddam Hussein, spanning over 6,000 words. Early life and background. Saddam Hussein was born on April 28, 1937, in the small village of Al-Ajah, near Tikrit, in the Sunni heartland of Iraq. His family was of modest means, and his father, Hussein al-Majid, abandoned the family shortly after Saddam's birth. His mother, Sabat Tulfa, was left to raise him and his 3 brothers, but financial hardships and societal challenges plagued their early years. Despite these difficulties, Saddam Hussein showed early signs of intelligence and ambition. He excelled in his studies and demonstrated leadership skills. His uncle Karala Tulfa, an officer in the Iraqi army and an early nationalist, played a significant role in shaping his political views. Under his influence, young Saddam began to embrace Arab nationalism and anti-colonial sentiments. Saddam's early years were marked by political turbulence and colonial rule. Iraq gained independence from British control in 1932 but remained in the sphere of British influence. This environment of political unrest and foreign intervention would profoundly impact Saddam's worldview and set the stage for his future political career. 2. The Ba'ath Party and early political activism. In the 1950s, Saddam Hussein joined the Arab Socialist Ba'ath Party, a pan-Arab socialist political organization that sought to promote Arab unity and socialism. The Ba'ath Party was known for its secular and nationalist ideology and had a strong anti-colonial stance. Saddam quickly rose through the ranks of the party, gaining prominence for his organizational skills and ruthlessness in dealing with rivals. Saddam's rise within the Ba'ath Party was marked by several failed attempts to overthrow the Iraqi government. These early failures, however, did not deter him, and he continued to work tirelessly to consolidate his power within the party. He was imprisoned multiple times for his involvement in anti-government activities but managed to escape or secure early releases each time. 3. The rise to power. Saddam Hussein's political career took a significant turn in 1968 when the Ba'ath Party, led by Ahmad Hassan al-Bakr, orchestrated a successful coup, overthrowing the government of Abdul Rahman Arif. This coup brought the Ba'ath Party to power, with Saddam playing a pivotal role. Initially, Saddam held the position of deputy chairman of the Revolutionary Command Council, RCC, effectively making him the de facto ruler of Iraq. Over the next few years, Saddam solidified his control over the country through purges, executions, and strategic alliances within the party and the military. In 1979, he orchestrated a coup against al-Bakr, assuming the presidency and consolidating his authority. Saddam Hussein was now the undisputed ruler of Iraq, a position he would maintain for the next 3 decades. 4. The reign of Saddam Hussein. Saddam's reign in Iraq can be divided into several key phases, each marked by distinct domestic and international developments. Authoritarian rule and consolidation of power, 1979 to 1980. After taking power, Saddam Hussein wasted no time in consolidating his rule. He initiated a series of purges, targeting perceived enemies, both within and outside the Ba'ath Party. Thousands of individuals were arrested, executed, or forced into exile during this period. The brutal tactics used to quell opposition earned Saddam a fearsome reputation. Saddam also pursued a policy of Arabization in the oil-rich region of Kirkuk, displacing Kurdish residents and replacing them with Arab settlers. This move exacerbated ethnic tensions in Iraq, particularly with the Kurdish population. Internationally, Saddam sought to strengthen Iraq's position in the Arab world and confront Iran, its historical rival. He signed a 1975 Algiers Accord with Iran, resolving a long-standing border dispute and fostering temporary cooperation between the two countries. Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988. The Iran-Iraq War, one of the longest and deadliest conflicts of the 20th century, erupted in 1980 when Saddam Hussein ordered the invasion of Iran. The war, fueled by territorial disputes, ideological differences, and regional power struggles, resulted in a protracted and devastating conflict. Saddam's forces initially made significant gains, but the war quickly turned into a stalemate with heavy casualties on both sides. International powers, including the United States and the Soviet Union, supported Iraq to contain the spread of Iranian revolutionary fervor. The war ended in 1988 with a ceasefire, leaving both countries economically and socially devastated. Saddam's regime emerged weakened but still intact, as he sought to rebuild Iraq and maintain his grip on power. Invasion of Kuwait and Gulf War, 1990 to 1991. In 1990, Saddam Hussein made a fateful decision to invade Kuwait, claiming it as an Iraqi province. The international community, led by the United States, swiftly condemned the invasion and organized a coalition of nations to liberate Kuwait. This coalition launched Operation Desert Storm in 1991, marking the beginning of the Gulf War. The war was a resounding defeat for Saddam's forces as the coalition quickly pushed them out of Kuwait. However, the war left Saddam Hussein in power in Iraq, and he brutally suppressed uprisings in the southern Shia-majority regions and Kurdish areas in the north. The Gulf War resulted in economic sanctions on Iraq and the establishment of no-fly zones over Kurdish and Shia areas. These measures had a profound impact on the Iraqi people, who endured economic hardship and limited access to basic necessities. Post-Gulf War and continued authoritarianism. In the aftermath of the Gulf War, Saddam Hussein's regime faced a challenging period. Economic sanctions and international isolation severely weakened the Iraqi economy, and Saddam's authoritarian rule became increasingly brutal. Saddam Hussein's government imposed strict control over the media, education, and public life, leading to widespread human rights abuses. The regime's use of chemical weapons against Kurdish civilians in the town of Halabja in 1988 shocked the world and further solidified Saddam's reputation as a ruthless dictator. Saddam's rule was marked by a personality cult, with his image appearing on currency, monuments, and public spaces. He also maintained an extensive network of informants and security services to suppress dissent. The Iraq War and Downfall, 2003. Saddam Hussein's rule faced its most significant challenge in 2003 when the United States, led by President George W. Bush, and a coalition of allies invaded Iraq. The primary justification for the invasion was the belief that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and posed a threat to global security. The invasion, codenamed Operation Iraqi Freedom, quickly toppled Saddam's regime, and he went into hiding. The subsequent years were marked by a chaotic and violent insurgency as various ethnic and sectarian groups vied for power in post-Saddam Iraq. The absence of a strong centralized government allowed extremist groups like al-Qaeda in Iraq to gain a foothold. Saddam Hussein was eventually captured by U.S. forces in December 2003 near his hometown of Tikrit. He faced trial in Iraq for crimes against humanity, particularly for his role in the 1982 Dujail massacre, in which 148 people were executed. In 2006, he was convicted and sentenced to death. Saddam Hussein was executed by hanging on December 30, 2006. 6. Legacy and impact. Saddam Hussein's legacy is a subject of ongoing debate and controversy. He is remembered as a brutal dictator who used extreme violence and repression to maintain power. His reign was marked by human rights abuses, wars, and the suffering of the Iraqi people. The decision to invade Iraq in 2003 and the subsequent toppling of Saddam Hussein's regime had far-reaching consequences. The aftermath of the Iraq War saw the rise of sectarian violence, the emergence of ISIS, Islamic State, and a destabilized Middle East. While some Iraqis viewed Saddam as a strong leader who maintained order and stability, others saw him as a tyrant who caused immense suffering and destruction. Saddam Hussein's life is a complex tapestry of political intrigue, brutal authoritarianism, and international conflict. From his humble beginnings in a small village to his iron-fisted rule over Iraq, Saddam's journey is a testament to the power and pitfalls of political ambition and the consequences of absolute power. His legacy continues to shape the geopolitics of the Middle East, and his rule remains a cautionary tale of the consequences of unchecked authoritarianism. Saddam Hussein's life and rule serve as a stark reminder of the importance of understanding the complexities of power, ideology, and the lasting impact of political decisions on a global scale.